Got traffic there. Blaster, just take it up to the departure end of the runway, then a left turn and a lowest downwind. Cessna over the threshold, coming up on the white dot, at or beyond the white dot, left turn first available. I got a high wind coming up on about a half-mile final, clear to land at or beyond. Traffic on the left face, you're following a Cessna down, low off your left. Square it up just a little bit, and then we're going to get you in. Start your descent, though. Start your descent on the base. Traffic on final, give me follow on base. Base traffic, start turning toward the numbers now. High wing coming up on quarter-mile final, take it all the way down to the green. Cessna taxiing on the green, expedite down to the next hard surface. Get me some speed, there you go, 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 go fast. This is going to be good. I got traffic on a mile final. You're following traffic ahead and to your right. High wing coming up on the threshold. Take it all the way down to the green dot.
5 Charlie Sierra, 2 mile final.
A mile final, turn north, and we're going to just make you, we're going to bring you back around. Jet traffic's coming up on about a mile and a half final. Runway 9er clear to land.
Okay, all right, let's listen up, guys. If you're on final for runway 9, I want you to offset to the left. I got a jet that's landing on runway 9. The jet's cleared to land runway 9 if you can make it. If not, just continue straight ahead. It looks like you're going around for the jet. That's fine, that's fine, that's fine.
Oh, we have one right in front of us, sir.
Dragger, let's see, what we got, a tricycle, put it down, tricycle, put it down, tail dragger, down to the green dot, then a left turn. Short final here, you cleared land on 9, all the way to the white dot, go down to the white dot. Find somebody to follow out here. Canard, just come to the runway and I might have to just send you around, that'll be fine. And for the jet, you just want to stay in this pattern or you want to go back out for an instrument approach?
Stay in a pattern, Charlie Sierra.
All right, just stay with me here for a minute. And my tail dragger, let's see, over the numbers, go down to the green. And Canard's going to have to go around. Canard, go around. Canard, go around. Canard, go around. And my high wing here over the runway, keep it airborne. Keep it airborne. You do not descend. Do not descend. You got a fast guy behind you. Do not descend. There you go. Keep it airborne. Keep it airborne. As soon as the guy behind you gets slowed down, I'm going to put you down. So keep it airborne. The one that just passed the white dot, make a left turn on the hard surface. All right, my high wing tail dragger, you can put it down now. You can put it down now. And Charlie Sierra, let me get you about a mile off. Let's see, Charlie Sierra, I lost. There you are. Make a left-hand turn. I'll try to resequence you here on the downwinds. We'll see how it looks. Short final, you're clear to land runway 9 on the white dot. Clear to land on the white dot. There you go. And the tricycle left on the hard surface and follow the flagman. Welcome. Thanks for being part of the show. And let's see, just find somebody to follow out follow on the final. And as you get close to the runway, if it's not going to work, we're going to send you around and then try to resequence you. Now, who else got sent around that's not back on the downwind? The Canard?
Yeah, Canard.
All right, Canard, there's a Gulfstream up there that went around too. I just lost sight of him, but you're going to make kind of a left-hand turn and stay low. I think Charlie Sierra, what's your altitude?
3,200.
Okay, that'll be fine. Just maintain VFR. I don't know what else is up there above you. Probably most everybody's down here, so just make a left-hand turn. We'll try to get you back here.
Canard's got the jet in sight.
Okay, the RV, maybe an RV-10, whatever, here on final. Keep your speed up and go all the way down to the, aim for the green dot for me. Actually, keep your speed up. There's a guy behind you. Aim for the green dot, and I'm sure that's plenty of room for you to land on runway 9. You're clear to land on runway 9. Number 2, you're going to go down to the white dot. Follow the white dot. Actually, you know what? That's 1,500 feet. You're going to land at the white dot. The spacing looks adequate here. 2 guys on final. You're kind of tight there. Keep each other in sight, and you're going to aim for the white dot. If it's not going to work, we'll come up with a plan B. We might have to send you around. The second guy behind you out there in about a 2-mile final. Are you slow enough to be able to follow that guy in front of you? You need to go around. Well, I probably shouldn't ask that because I had about 5 guys answer me, so I should know better than that after 35 years, you would think, right? All right, so let me see. The guy who's number 1, it's number 1. What kind of airplane is he? An RV type. All right, RV type. Keep it airborne for me. Keep it airborne. And I got a fast guy behind you. The number 2 guy over the trees there. Go ahead and put it down on the numbers. Put it down on the numbers. My first guy just coming up on the numbers at the over the grass at the numbers. I want you to keep it.
T-minus 1 minute and counting.
Hello.
Four, three, two, one.
Hello. Welcome. How is everybody? Good.
Cold.
Chilly.
Cold. Cold?
Yeah,
Oh, it's
slightly
not
less
that bad.
chilly than it was at the beginning of the week.
Yeah, no, that's true. It's all melting, slushy and muddy and blah, blah, blah. We got a great show for you tonight. I can see Simon's waiting there live with some fantastic weather. And in the next door green room to Simon, we've got an actual real Red 5 who's just waiting to burst onto the scene. He'll be here at about 10 to 5 to 8, so that's good. First things first, however, massive big thanks to SkyDemon for supporting the live stream. Without them, it would be tough. And this week, you've got a brand new, squeaky clean video from from Hannah. Here you go.
So good.
There you go. That was so slick, wasn't it? Here you go.
Hi, I'm Hannah from SkyDemon, and this is today's top tip.
For most European countries, SkyDemon gives you access to AIP plates and some third-party flight guides, with visual approach charts and aerodrome charts that are geo-referenced, which means they can be overlaid directly on the map during your flight. You'll find these in the Airfields tab. This blue button here indicates that the plate is geo-referenced. Tap it, and the plate will appear on the map like this, with your route and aircraft symbol overlaid. There is also a setting to allow georeference plates to be overlaid automatically. Go to Setup, Navigation Options, Automatically Show Georeference Plates. The plate will pop up when you fly in its vicinity, as long as you downloaded it before you set off.
For more information on using SkyDemon, take a look at our user guide, which you can access from our website.
I'm guessing georeference plates is a world of revelation for Whiskey Alpha Pilot.
It is, yeah. Geo-reference instrument approach plates are even better because you can just follow. It's probably not the done thing.
I once sat alongside a German pilot who flew an instrument approach, literally looking at a geo. It was like fly the aeroplane around the geo-reference plate. It's like, well, this is interesting.
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad you said a German pilot. I'm glad it wasn't me.
Yeah.
Good. No, that is a good one, and particularly some of those kind of. I don't know if anyone was watching the webinar we had from Thomas about flying in Germany. A whole bunch of the German airfields are really, really, really picky about their circuits, and so having a geo-referenced circuit. Although that said, that's a bit tough in Germany. But having a geo-referenced circuit overlaid in any other country apart from Germany, because their AIP's in a stupid format that can't be read. Is ideal. Right, I'm going to move swiftly on from that. It's time to bring in Simon, who we missed last week. Hello, Simon. How are you?
Evening. Oh, I was going to say, did you miss me? Oh, you say the nicest things, don't you?
Captain Cruiser's
there you go.
Absolutely. From 24 degrees to this, I'm freezing.
Oh, you must be loving it.
Oh, absolutely. I'd much rather be here than by the side of a pool with some sunshine.
Who knew it was that warm in Southend?
Yeah, it'd be even better if I could fly. We've been fog bound here for a few days, so yeah, I'm desperate to get out there as well. But you know, one of those things. Hopefully, you guys are all okay as well.
We are. Yeah, we missed you, but you know, we're okay.
Yeah, thank you. Should we take a look at what's going on then? This is Friday, and it actually doesn't look like being too bad a weekend for most of us. Still got this sort of semi-permanent ridge of high pressure over the country at the moment. You can see it just here, the high centered down towards the southwest. This little sort of nose of high pressure, that's the sort of N shape you see in the isobars there. That's been hanging around for quite a while now, and it's that's been bringing us a fair amount of dryish weather. And it's also going to be lending itself to some reasonable flying as well through the course of this weekend. So this is tomorrow. That ridge is in quite nicely through the course of tomorrow, and I think probably brings a fair day for most of us. Maybe a little bit of low cloud first thing across parts of Wales, across parts of the Midlands. The cloud ceiling forecast here shows it quite well. Those sort of yellow colours there, their bases are between about 1,000 and 2,000 feet, but they will be lifting quite smartly as we go through the course of the morning. This weak warm front coming into Western Scotland, Western Ireland, doing nothing more than bringing in Just some more cloud towards those western parts of Scotland and Ireland, but generally it is going to be a fair day. Now, on Saturday, a weak cold front comes southwards. Now, what this is going to do is just bring a line of cloud with it. I think there might be 1 or 2 spots of rain. Again, just bring your attention here to the cloud ceiling forecast. Those yellow and orange colours showing 1,000-foot bases, perhaps a little bit lower across parts of northern England into parts of southeastern Ireland, northern parts of Wales. Again, like I say, a few spots of rain on that, perhaps over the hills, but both north and south of that area looks like, although there will be a fair amount of cloud, the bases are higher, about 2,500 to 3,000 feet. So it doesn't look bad at all with light winds. I mean, with these sort of pressures, we're looking there 1,032 millibars running through here, 1,028 going through northern parts of Scotland, or should I say HPA? I should really hectopascals, shouldn't I? It's just forecasts, I'm still in millibars, and I always will be. With those sort of pressures, it does sort of suggest that any precipitation would only be light. And then for Sunday, just some hints of a windier day across Scotland on Sunday, perhaps for the far north of England, perhaps for Northern Ireland too. With that, more cloud coming in off the Atlantic, bringing lower bases, Western Scotland, Northern and Western Ireland, Northwestern England. Bases there could be around about that sort of 1,000-foot level. But for Eastern Scotland, for most of Southern Scotland, for much of Northern England, through the Midlands, southern parts of England, yes, some cloud around, but again, those bases generally fairly high at around about 2,500 to 3,000 feet. Bit of a westerly breeze, probably around about 15 to 16 knot level. Just got to watch out for a little bit more cloud, perhaps for East Anglia and Southern England at first, but that will lift probably by mid to late morning. So all in all, it's not a bad weekend, is it? My next Aviation Weather School Part 1 starts next Tuesday and will happen again the following Tuesday, between 6:30 p.m. and 9 p.m. If you want to book that final place there, then go to weatherschool.co.uk. Have a fantastic weekend. Enjoy the conditions, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you very much, Simon.
Bye all.
Bye.
That was a
Great forecast.
Yeah, it looks like it might be a decent weekend, doesn't it? Looks like I might not have to drive all the way to Shoreham as well, which is a result. So cool. Right. Let's deliver some news, shall we? Dave, I think you're up first, as is tradition.
Are you going to talk about the club next, or we're going to go straight to news?
Good point. Well made.
What am I here for?
Sarah. Come on, Sarah.
Sorry, I wanted to interject them, but it's not my thing. So here I am. So yeah, I'm just here to tell you about the club. So join what we believe is Britain's best flying club. Become a member in January for just £5 a month. You'll get access to unlimited content. You get free landing vouchers every month. We've got great discounts and offers on aviation, goodies and equipment. And we've got a monthly webinar, which is exclusive to club members. So each month we've got a different topic. January's webinar, which was last Tuesday, was on general aviation touring in Germany. And it was a massive hit, actually. We got a lot of good response from that. And next month, we've got Darren Lewington speaking to us about upset prevention and recovery training. And that's going to be on the 21st of February. Why are you shaking your head at me?
Because you'll be talking about air traffic control. You're mixing Darren Lewington up with Mark Greenfield.
Am I really? Oh, goodness me. Right, just get me off now. I'm going now. Okay, thank you for that. I can see Darren in the comments there as well.
Darren's
right,
going,
is it
what
the... Right, quickly, go and learn some UPRT, Darren. So yeah, we've got Darren talking to us about air traffic control. And then some of the other topics we've got are going to be flying in South Africa. We've got the world of float planes, like tips on flying abroad in general. And we're going to have some stuff about licensing and weather. So sign up today and you'll get to make the most of all of these benefits. And for current club members, this month, landing vouchers are for Perth, High Wycombe, Strathaven and Roughforth East. So you've got about, a week left to make use of them. No, less than that, actually. And then next month, we've got Esher Airfield, Middlezoy, Holmbeck Farm and Fishburn. We also got a bonus. We've got Blackpool, but details of that will be on the voucher because that's a sort of a half price if you fill up a certain amount. So that's a bit of a bonus one. So yeah, just join today, become a member, use all the benefits. The more you do, the more we can do. So
It's got to be the best £5 a month in aviation, isn't it? And while you're talking about members, if you are a member out there, you should soon in the next week or so be getting a survey from us because you want to know about a few bits and pieces so how we can make the club better for you. How you can help us, whether you're a member or not a member, is to click like and leave us, if you're not watching this live, leave a comment underneath. YouTube really likes comments, and we get tons and tons of comments during the show, which YouTube then ignores, but we want comments afterwards as well. So please stick something in there. And as a guess, I'll reveal the answer next week. You can take a guess how much we made from YouTube from last week's excellent live stream. It was a good one last week. So how much do you reckon we made? Stick the number in the comments. I'll tell you, it's not very much. It wouldn't get you very far. But put it in there anyway, just for a laugh. Okay, now we've done that, and I've interrupted a little bit. I'm sorry about that, Sarah. Dave, over to you.
Okay, so the first story in news this week is about the CAA's airspace modernisation strategy. It's a bit of a mouthful, but the CAA set out its vision for the future of UK airspace in its refreshed airspace modernisation strategy. It attempts to integrate all airspace users, including new types of aircraft, such as drones, aerial taxis, and also spacecraft, interestingly. It talks about simpler airspace design. However, they've issued an infographic on showing how the CAA thinks lower airspace is going to work. And I have to say, it's pretty complicated. We can only show it here, it's very small. You really need an A2 poster size to see it all. There's an emphasis on electronic conspicuity, which we kind of knew was coming, and that will feed a digital flight information service. And we can expect more transponder mandatory zones and radio mandatory zones. And there's also something called enhanced use of flight intent data. They describe this as voluntary submission of data if you're going to fly in lower airspace. There's not much detail on that. It's not like submitting a flight plan, or is it?
Yeah. You know? Does anyone hear that and think that sounds a bit like a flight plan?
It does sound like a bit like a flight plan, yeah. Anyway, the idea of this enhanced airspace is our mission. They say our mission is to enable an airspace which delivers a safe, interoperable environment for all users today and in the future. It's about retaining the freedom to roam by encouraging users to be electronically conspicuous and to take advantage of enhanced flight information services and a simplified air traffic service. So it's a bit light on detail, I have to say. That's yet to come. So we'll have to see how that pans out.
Did you use the phrase "freedom to roam" in that?
This is in the infographic that they've supplied.
So
what if?
Yeah, so we have the words "freedom to roam" and the whole idea of providing voluntary flight data.
Yes.
I can't imagine going for a bimble in the Cub and going, well, I must draw exactly how I'm going to bimble. Actually, I can imagine. I'm going to have a whale of a time doing that. I'll just go.
You can't just draw beep, beep every time you're going to go flying, you know. Yeah, so as you see, I just quickly donned my cynical hat. So I think their plan is. Do you remember the Olympics a gazillion years ago? It's not quite a rant inbound, Darren, because I just don't know enough about it at the moment. But do you remember the Olympics when you had to file a flight plan for?
Yeah.
Yes. Jonathan, I wonder who that could be. Jonathan, would you like to come on and elaborate? That would be good. That would be good. But anyway, my suspicion is the filing of voluntary. What was it called? Voluntary submission of flight data.
Yes,
will be similar to the Olympics. And to be fair, the Olympics did give you a way to, if you were just going off for a kind of like aimless bimble, there was a way of doing that on the Olympic flight plan system. So we'll just have to wait and see. And we'll see which is why this is not a rant. We'll see what comes back instead. So I'm going to take my cynical hat off, invite again Jonathan or somebody else to come back and talk to us about it even more.
I look forward to having a button on SkyDemon where it says start again, create route, and aimless bimble.
Well, there was just before the Olympics, there was this brilliant presentation up in London somewhere. I can't remember where it was. And there was someone who stood up, I think from the CA or someone, and you need to do this thing, ding, 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 and like it was like a massively complex task. And then Tim Dawson stood up and went, "Well, you can plan it on SkyDemon and just press submit, and it will go in." And everyone went, "Oh, I'm going to do that." Going to make it easy, which is fantastic. Good, right? Well, we do actually have a feature underway looking at that. I think, don't we, Dave?
We do. Yeah, we do. Yeah.
So that
should be up on the website next week. Yeah.
And if someone monitors the questions, in case Jonathan's up there saying, yes, I'd love to come on, then we can squeeze him in as a guest. So that would be good.
He has said, of course we would. There we go.
Right. That's it. You're booked. Come and tell us all about it. Right. I've got the next story, which is we got an email, was it today or yesterday? From today. Contacts at the CEA giving us an update on the General Aviation Departments or General Aviation Unit, whichever it's called these days. Basically, like their school report that they wrote about themselves. So I made a little list here. They're very pleased with the fact that they ran a consultation on pilots' medical declaration, to which they had 1,770 responses, which they're currently considering. I would consider it to say, you know what, you had a really good, simple system. Don't mess with it, and it'll be good. They had a consultation on the simplification of general aviation licensing, and we actually produced a video with the CA, interviewing someone from the CA, explaining the simplified version, which wasn't actually that simple. And that's a three-part plan that's coming along. They also said they engaged with stakeholders. I think that meant they had days out at various associations. There was a post-display symposium, a Part 21 maintenance webinar. They shared the occurrence report just to demonstrate just culture. I did actually have a look, and I was kind of hoping that it would be all the occurrence reports that they used to get, that we all used to read and kind of learn from. But actually, it's one sanitized occurrence report that shows everyone in a good light, as if to go, look, this is brilliant. But there's only one of them, for God's sake. Come on, do a bit more than that. They held a workshop with Astral Aviation on just culture, which I actually took part in, which you could probably find somewhere, as safety sense leaflet on VFR, which is pretty good. Old Simon, who you saw earlier, did a workshop on weather, and what they published the minutes from the General Aviation Partnership. This is a kind of group. There's about, as far as I can tell, there's about 5,000 general aviation organizations that go and sit around a table and drink tea and talk about. There are just so many people there. I can't believe that anything useful gets done quickly. But I might be wrong. It might be super efficient. Who knows? But the minutes of that are online if you want to go and if you want to have a look at them. They're not that interesting, to be perfectly honest. But there you go. So there you go. That's an update for the CA, which their school report, which they wrote and marked themselves. And they think they did pretty damn well. I think we'll give them the benefit of the doubt on that one. I think just.
Very good.
There you go. That's it for there. If you think the CA didn't do well, then you'll have a chance to comment soon. In fact, there's an open consultation, isn't there, on the efficiency of the CA? So
and
don't
closes at the end of January.
That's right. Yep.
Soon. Go have your say.
Yeah.
Right. Ed, you're taking us flying next.
I am with an electric aeroplane. So this is the news that Nuncats, which is the old Buckingham-based electric aircraft project, they've carried out their first flight of what they're calling an electric sky jeep. It's based on a Zenith CH-750 kit aircraft. Now, this electric two-seater, it's been under construction for the past 3 years and made its first flight under the CAA's e-condition systems for prototype aircraft. It's flown by a guy called Tim Kingsley, who's a pilot for Norwich-based air charter company Saxon Air, and he's a backer in the project. And Nuncat's vision with this is that the electric SkyG will provide cheap and sustainable transport to deliver doctors, teachers, and medical supplies to remote communities across the world. It's the brainchild of Shipton-based husband and wife team Tim and Helen Bridge, and this is being formed as a community interest company and worked through the lockdowns, and it's since partnered with Zenith Aircraft and some startup investors. Tim says, nobody else is building electric aircraft in this way, and our aim is to provide a low-cost, rugged and practical aircraft for use in rural and hard-to-reach communities. So be interesting to see how that develops. And I think they're also planning on selling their power package to home builders, but I'm guessing that's all going to need approval first. So.
Yeah.
I think you can do more than guess on that one, Ed.
Yeah. Nuncax is looking for more backers and sponsors. So if you're interested in an electric Sky Jeep, take a look at our news story and get in touch with them.
There you go. Sarah, your story next.
Yep, so I'm talking to you guys about the bursaries. So we've got two stories actually. One of them is more.
Okay.
Why are you looking at me like that? Is it the? I've got too many stories, you see. Shall I go with the bursary story first?
There.
Yeah, stand by. Just like to throw you off slightly.
Tell us about the blades and the display season in 2023 and 2024. How's that going?
Yeah, that's not going, unfortunately. Yeah, sad news from the Blades display team, actually. So after 17 years of flying, they have called it a day, actually. So the company behind the team, 2XL Aviation, have said that due to a worsening economy and fewer air shows, it's just made it harder to show off the team sponsors, and therefore they've had to cease. So yeah, very sad news. I'm really glad I got to see them, Eastbourne Airborne. That was great, actually, watching them come in with the Chinook. That was pretty epic. I'm glad I got to see them, but it's safe to say they're going to be missed.
It is indeed. Yeah. And Patrick sitting in the green room there has kind of robbed him of a potential future job as well, hasn't it?
That's it, because a lot of Red Arrows went on to fly with the Blades, didn't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll talk to him about that later. Ed, I think, is Ed you next? Yes, you got the next story.
Yes.
You're coming. Come back to you on the other stuff, Sarah.
So this is news about a sunken Spitfire that's secured some survey money. The team learned this week that there's a Spitfire that still remains where it came to rest after a forced landing during the war. And it's just a few feet below the mud of the Norfolk Broads. What's more exciting is that there's a search about to start to hopefully find and recover it. AD377 is a Spitfire Mark 5B, forced landed on the Norfolk Broads. And a chap called David Daniels has spent a number of years joining basically all the dots of information, various reports and other bits and bobs to figure out where he thinks it is. And it's he's just crowdfunded a £5,500 fundraising campaign to pay for an electromagnetic survey. And they've reached the target. They've overrun it by a few £100s. And so they're aiming to go and locate this aeroplane, which is quite exciting. There's a news story on the flyer front page, and the aeroplane landed and was it broke into a few bits, but not many, and could be one of those that could be restored. And it had an interesting backstory in that the last pilot for it was a revered Czech war hero, and David describes him as a backstory worthy of a Hollywood film. The owners of the site where the aeroplane is. They think it is supportive of the project, and the MOD say they'll issue a license to recover it should the aeroplane be located. So it'll be really interesting to see if that turns out to find a Spitfire. So
yeah.
Cool. Dave, moving from old aeroplanes to brand new ones.
Yeah, this is a brand new project. It's a company called ARC Aerosystems, based at Cranfield. They've unveiled a passenger-carrying thing. They called it ARC Lynx P9. It's a cross between a fixed-wing aircraft and a large autogyro. The P9 stands for 9 passengers. It's got a cabin that's roughly double the payload of what they call these eVTOL electric vertical takeoff and landing air taxis. And it's about the same size as an AW109 helicopter. It's equipped with a single rotor and 2 twin turboprop engines that can run on sustainable aviation fuel or perhaps hydrogen in the future. Other details are that it's got a top speed of 200 knots, faster than a normal helicopter, because the wing takes over as the lifting device once they get up to speed. Ceiling is 13,000 feet. Maximum range is 512 nautical miles. Strangely, ARC says it may enter into service in 2028. Now, given it takes quite a long time to get any aircraft from the concept stage through to development, flying, and then certification, that's quite a bold, punchy target they've set there. 5 years.
I'm going to go on record here and say I will bake cakes for all our Flyer Club members if that meets its goal.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'll go and I'll help you if it meets its goal of flying in 2028. I'll ice those cakes, Ed.
There we go. Yeah,
I've ever iced a cake in my life, but
yeah. Can we flash that picture back up? And if you've been listening to the internet talk about, there's a lot of AI-driven image generator things now, and I think all they did here was they typed some keywords like helicopter, VTOL, turbine into an AI image generator, and the internet threw that back at them.
I like it.
Yeah. Okay, so my turn. Quick story coming up here. Blackpool Airport has won an award by Lancashire Business View magazine, awarded them a best improved business or best changed business, I think it was. And Blackpool Airport turned itself from a airport that was being run as a good commercial airport to an airport that's a good GA airport, managing to avoid becoming a development bunch of warehouses, housing, or anything else along the way. So well done Blackpool for that. And we're planning. We don't know. We only took the decision yesterday, kind of on the hoof. We're gonna have a fly-in sometime this year to Blackpool. Anyone fancies coming up, we'll go land at Blackpool, walk along the seafront, grab some fish and chips, talk rubbish, that kind of thing. So we'll sort that out later on in the year.
Okay.
Sarah, this is your chance to shine on scholarships.
Yes, I'm just so desperate to tell everyone about them. So we've got two stories. One of them is more just a final call / reminder. So Flying Scholarships for Disabled People, the charity, they announced some scholarships a little while ago. And the closing date is actually 31st of January. So if you know anyone who might be interested in applying for one of those, head to the website and you'll find the news article with the link. And the second one is the Royal Aero Club Trust just announced, I think it was yesterday actually, bursaries for 2023. So they cover a range of air sports. They've got paragliding, gliding, hang gliding, parachuting, helicopters, microlight aircraft and light aircraft. So most of these are aimed at 19 to 21-year-olds, but there's one which is an advanced bursary, which is it goes up to 24-year-olds. So again, if you know anyone who might be interested, head over to the news article and you can apply from there.
Even you're too old for that, Sarah.
Yes, thank you. And yeah, and you?
I'm like 3 times too old. Well, not quite, but almost.
Yes, I've missed out.
Yeah.
You have to be very, very young for those. Dave, do you want to just quickly tell us about the ambassadors? Then we can move on to the main interview.
Yes. There's a new batch of GA ambassadors being announced by the Department for Transport. They include Brian Wheeler, who works with Air Abilities, and that's air traffic controller in his real job, but he also works with Air Ability. Brian was paralysed in May 2018 with a rare condition and was told it was unlikely he'd ever walk again. But he not only learned to walk again, but ran a half marathon and he's learned to fly. Another one is the chap we see in the picture when it comes up, is 16-year-old Jack Jenner Hall, the UK's youngest pilot who qualified as a glider pilot at the age of 14. Quite a remarkable chap, actually. I just watched a video about that he gave a little bit earlier today. There's a whole bunch of them, including people like Emma Henderson, who's CEO of Project Wingman. That's really for commercial pilots. There's Kachana Gamage, the founder of the Aviatrix project. Catherine Maloney, who is from Transair. She was an ambassador last year. And this year, they've kept some of the ones from last year to keep some of the things going, which sounds like a good idea. Anyway, full story is on the website. Full list of names is on the website. Yeah.
Excellent. In that case, it must be time for the interview. Hello, Patrick. Just to do a little bit of messing around here. There you go. Why does it? Sometimes it goes on the left, sometimes it goes on the right. How can you? Anyway, over to you, Sarah. Welcome, Patrick.
Lovely.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, welcome, Flight Lieutenant Patrick Kershaw. Thanks for joining us tonight.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
So I'd like to begin. I'd like to address the elephant in the room first. So 2022 wasn't the best year for the Reds. How's it all looking going into 2023?
Yeah, it's obviously fair to say that 2022 there were some distractions for the team, but there are also some really, really good highlights for the year. You know, we had the Queen's Jubilee. That for me, my first year on the team, taking part in a fly past over London, something that probably never see in a Jubilee of that kind of scale ever again. So that was a massive highlight. And then things like the air tattoo as well at RIAT. It was the first time since 2019 that we had a massive air tattoo. So yeah, there's potentially been some other things that have happened, but some massive highlights really. For me especially, and going forwards into 2023, we're just going to build kind of, on those highlights that we saw last year. And again for this year, we've got the King's coronation coming up. We've got a hopefully a really kind of busy summer of air shows, so all around the country, and putting the red, white, and blue out for the public.
Lovely. Actually, I wanted to touch on the King's coronation later, so we'll come back to that. So can we start with how it started for you, where it all began? How did you end up here?
It's kind of, I always think it's a little bit by accident, really. I was never in the Air Cadets or anything like that. I always had an interest in the military. I never really had a massive interest, say, in aviation. Obviously, light planes and that kind of stuff, but I never learned to fly. And we moved house when I was about 12 to near a gliding club. And it was always quite interesting watching the gliders and that. And my uncle was in the RAF. He was in air operations. And so when I went to uni, a friend of mine kind of said, oh, if you're interested in kind of aviation, that kind of stuff, then join the air squadron. So I went off to uni at De Montfort in Leicester, did a business degree. And whilst I was there, joined East Midlands UAS. And again, never really thought kind of anything of it. Never thought I'd probably get into it because it was quite competitive. And I was really lucky to get in. And then when we got in, at the time, the way RAF pilot training was structured was that if you went to university or you were kind of part of an air squadron, you would do your elementary flying training. So the course that every RAF pilot does when they join the RAF, you would do that on the air squadron. And you do that over 3 years, and then those flying hours would count to your streaming. So you either get sent to fast jets, multi-engines, or rotary aircraft. And then if you were a direct entrant and hadn't gone to uni, you would do that course in 6 months after your officer training. So I started learning to fly, and I was just put into it. Again, I'm 6'2". I thought I'd be too tall, and I was just put into kind of learn to fly the Grob Cheetah. Went solo and kind of thought, this is great. I want to do this kind of for the rest of my career. And in my second year, I applied for a bursary with the Air Force, and I was really fortunate to get a pilot bursary in 2005, which gave me a guaranteed slot at the end of uni. So I joined in 2006, did my officer training, and there was a review in about, I think, late 05 that basically said, from now on, every person that joins the RAF will do their flying training after officer training, because it was a little bit unfair having to go away, do your university studies, then come back and learn to fly against people who were doing it 5 days a week in a full-time job. So they kind of made it more of an even playing field. And so I completed my elementary flying training, and then was lucky enough to get sent fast jets. Did my first fast jet course at Linton-on-Ouse on the Tucano. It was about a year. Then went off to RAF Valley, onto the Hawk T1, which is what we fly in the Reds now. Learned to fly the Hawk T1, how to fight it, low-level tactics, formation, everything. And then I was sent off to fly the Tornado GR4. So I moved to North Scotland, to Lossiemouth. Did about a year up there. And then I was posted to Marham, onto 9 Squadron, and did about 3 years down flying Tornado at Marham. I took part in quite a few different operations and big exercises. And then went off to be an instructor back at Valley for a couple of years. And then went and did 5 years on the Typhoon. And whilst I was there, I was lucky enough to go for my first attempt at Red Selection, my first shortlist in 2019. Didn't get in, but then went back a couple of years later and was fortunate to get in. And here I am, really. So yeah, kind of a bit of luck, really.
You made a lot of things sound like not a lot. That sounds like a lot you've done. So, and what about like selection into the Reds then? What's that like?
It's quite daunting. So every November, we basically send out a trawl to the RAF pilots, to flight lieutenant pilots who kind of meet a criteria. You have to have done one operational tour, so a frontline tour. You have to have 1,500 flying hours, and you have to be assessed as above average in your role. So every year in your yearly report, you get an assessment as to your ability. So to get that, obviously, you need a bit of experience. And then if you want to apply for the team, not everyone wants to be in the Reds. You know, people go off other careers in the RAF. And if you want to apply, then you put your application in. And then we'll probably get maybe 20 to 30 applicants. And Red 1 and OC RAF will go through their reports. And these reports go all the way back to, so I've looked through my report, and it goes all the way back to that flying training I did on the Air Squadron back in 2003, 2004. And they can look for little bits on there. And they'll just build kind of an idea of your ability from the report, your flying ability. And then we'll go through that as a team, all the applicants, and then we'll normally try and whittle that down to either kind of 6 applicants or 9 applicants. We'll call that the shortlist. And then if you get on the shortlist, you basically spend a week with the team in Greece when we're on our final training exercise at Springhawk. And in that week, you fly back seat 3 times a day with the team. So you get thrown around, you get to see every position that the team flies. And then you'll have a formal interview. So you interview with the group captain, OC RAF and Red 1. And that'll be about your career, the team, how we fit into, you know, kind of government policy. It can be ranged from anything really, but the biggest thing is the flying test. So you will have you'll be in the back of a full display, and at the end of that display, if you're say flying with Red 8 or Red 9, who are normally the exec of the team, that jet and Red 1's jet will peel off away from the rest of the formation, and you'll basically get given control, and it will be down for a loop, and Red 1 will pull up, and you have to pull up with him and stay with him, and he'll go back and then do that again, and then you'll do a barrel roll. So he'll roll towards you if you're flying on the left-hand side, 2 more of those, and you move a little bit closer again and do 2 more loops and 2 more rolls. And they're basically looking at your ability, kind of your one of the biggest things really is the self-critique. So it's kind of trying to pick out your own errors and how you fix those errors, and see if you can fix those errors on the next time you do that maneuver. So it's kind of looking again at the learning curve and how smooth you are with the controls as well. And it's quite daunting because there's no feedback. I don't know if any of you saw the TV show a few years ago. You literally do the test and it's kind of like, right, yeah, thanks. Off we go, let it go land. And it's kind of, you're like, have I done all right? Have I done badly? You've no idea how you've done. You just kind of go away and think, I think I've done all right. And then, yeah, you don't know really. So, yeah, it's quite daunting. I think the morning I did my flying test, I remember it's probably like the quietest. I sat in the back of the display for 20 minutes and had no idea really I was in the display. It just kind of came to the end and I was like, right, it's my flying test. Here we go. And yeah, that was it. And
how long did they make you wait then until they told you the news?
So in 2019, when I didn't get in, we got back on, I think it was a Sunday night, and I was, you're back into work straight away. So I was flying Typhoon at the time, and I got back at kind of 9 o'clock Sunday night. And then the next morning, I was in programming meeting about the flying task for the week on Typhoon. And then I was in the simulator on Typhoon for I was going down the Falklands about 2 weeks later. So I had to be current and trained up to fly kind of down at the Falklands. So I was straight in the sim. So my job carried on. It didn't stop. And then I think that was a Monday. And we had to wait over the weekend, which was a little bit annoying. And then got told on the Tuesday. I hadn't got in. I kind of found out because 3 of the other guys did get in, and I knew there were 3 slots, and we kind of found out that way. And so when I got told, I already had an idea that I probably hadn't got in that year. And then in 2021, because it was COVID, we'd been out, but because we came back, we had to isolate. So we ended up, I think, finding out a couple of days later, and it was just kind of at home on an evening, having finished my dinner, and yeah, got told.
So I'm not sure what happened. Sarah looks like she's disappeared up there.
It does look like it. She has the spiral of death. Fortunately, well, just while we're waiting for her to come back, I think she's on the way back. A couple of people have asked, is the 2023 season going to be a 9-ship?
We haven't actually announced the team for 2023 yet. Obviously, the biggest thing, because everything we do is focused around safety. So every time we display any kind of practice, we've got a supervisor on the ground. So Red 10 or Red 11 will be on the ground watching it and supervising it, and it's taped as well. So we've got 3 photographers on the team, and that's not just to kind of snap away, taking nice photos of the jets taxiing around. It's their primary role is to photograph and film the displays. so that every display will watch, debrief, fix any problems that we can, and obviously to make it as safe as we can. So because we flew last year as a 7 and then the final part as a 6, it's just kind of a building block back up now to getting back to that kind of 9 ship. So we're not rushing to get back, because again, everything is about a safe, thrilling display, safety at the forefront of everything. And so once kind of the senior leadership are content that we are moving back up, then we'll announce obviously the team numbers in due course. But the aim for everyone is to be back as the 9 ship. It's the famous Diamond 9, that we everyone wants to see, including us.
Another question there. When might we hear announcements of the new pilots for 2023?
I think soon. One of them is very, very keen to get his name out there. I think a few people already know who he is, because he does a little bit of flying on the side on the display scene, which I'm not sure if he's going to do much more of. But yeah, they're in training now, so they've been with us since kind of last July, really, and they should be announced any minute, really. 3 new guys, and they're in obviously make up the rest of Enid along with me and Red One, they'll be they're kind of raring. Well, they're already training now, but they're raring to get out on the display scene and meet the public.
So I heard, I don't know how true this is, that last year you were Red 3, is that right?
That's right, yep.
So I'm guessing that a Red 3 to Red 5 is not like a demotion or something.
No, so I don't think so. Let's not tell me yet. No, what happens is so last year there was only 2 new pilots, and that was myself and Stu, who's Red 7 now. And so what will happen is you basically move further down the formation. So if you're next to Red 1, all you've got to focus on is Red 1 moving. So he will fly his input, and it's all, when we fly in the team, it's all done in voice commands. So normal kind of formation flying that we do, say on Typhoon or Tornado, or when I was instructing on Hook, it's just done off, you'll see movement in an aircraft and you react to that movement. But obviously that movement happens and your brain has to go, oh, there's movement. And then your brain tells your hand, move your hand, and then you move your hand. And so you'll have an almost not quite a smooth effect. So if you imagine Red 1 does his movement, then I do a movement, then Red 5, then Red 7, and Red 9, it would ripple down the wing. So how we do it is it's Red 1 will say on the radio, if you've ever heard at a display, it's all coming right now, coming left now. And what he does on the N of now is puts his input in. So I know that I'll put my input in even before potentially he's started putting an input into his aircraft. And it means that everyone kind of, you see the smooth maneuver of kind of the wing. So it looks like the formation is turning kind of as one, as opposed to a ripple effect down the wing. And so to learn that, you start obviously next to Red 1 because you've got no one kind of affecting you. And then once you get obviously a bit more experience, then you start moving a little bit further down the formation. So during the show last year, there were still maneuvers and display parts of the display that myself and number 2 would be further down the formation, and you'd have to ignore an aircraft next to you. But all the referencing is taken off the boss. So the stuff we're doing at the moment, I'm obviously now Red 5, so I've got number 1, then number 3, then me. So if we're doing a loop or a barrel roll, whatever training it might be for the practice, no matter what Red 3 is doing, I have to ignore him, because when I have the people outside of me, if I start reacting, then it's when it ripples down the wing and causes the bigger effect. And it's just that experience that I've got from last year, having done Red 3 for a year, that I can kind of go, I know that the boss is going to put his input in and pull and hold, and I can hopefully hold my errors as well, and then not react and try and make it smooth. So it's just, a little bit more experience. And clearly this year we've got 3 new guys. So one of those guys is having to fly in the Red 4 slot. So he's got a bit of a kind of a steeper learning curve potentially, because he's flying outside another guy. But it's the idea is you basically move back down the formation with the more experience that you get in the team.
So Red 1's got the easy job then.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he'll love it. I'll say that. Yeah, no, I mean he himself is an ex team pilot from before, so he was Red 5 and then Red 7, then Red 6, and then he was away for a few years as an instructor at Valley, and obviously he's got the difficult job of making those inputs exactly the same every time, and it's not just that his input, it's his voice cadence, everything is exactly the same, so that even if you maybe don't hear exactly what he says on the radio, because it could be clipped by another radio call. So for instance, in the Hawk, we've got 2 radios. We've got a UHF radio and a VHF radio. And the UHF is how we talk within the formation. So we're all on that same frequency. So in a display, we'll all be on that, and we won't be talking on it because he's doing his voice commands. But then on the Victor radio, potentially you can have the display frequency for the display site that you're on that radio. So you potentially could be chatting to the display director. But one of us normally will be on an air traffic agency, so getting a traffic service to just get SA of what is going on around our RATs. So if there's any kind of strange traffic potentially infringing. So it could be that I'm doing the nav that day and I'm listening to Red 1's commands, but I'm also listening to Farnborough radar, and in amongst all their traffic, I've got to listen for red arrows, traffic north, 10 miles, track south, and then ascertain, and that could be upside down in a loop, and we've got to then respond to that and then decide at that point whether or not that information has to be passed to Red 1 because he might not be on that frequency. So if that happens and he's given a command, if he says that command exactly the same every time, even if I don't quite hear his words, because he says it the same every time, the tone's the same, I know that that's when I need to put my input in. So, and that's what basically we've just practiced over and over again until we get our PDA is that workup.
Cool. I think you should still tell him he's got the easy job though.
Yeah, I'll say it tomorrow. Yeah.
I think that the whole kind of being, you talk about being aware of the traffic calls, you know, when you're a new PPL and you've just learned to fly the aeroplane, then they go, now you need to speak on the radio. It sounds like a lot of stuff going on that we probably didn't anticipate you were having to do.
Yeah, it is. I mean, when we transit around at low level, obviously we'll put a NOTAM out for our transit route, but we are kind of bouncing between agencies and you're trying to build, we've got, I mean, the Hawk is an old aircraft. There's new stuff in it, but we have an iPad with 4Flight on, which we can have an ADSB linked into, so we can see some traffic, but that's it. You know, we don't have any kind of other systems. We don't have a TCAS. We don't, you know, it's the mark on eyeball a lot of the time that you're going to pick stuff up with. And we do that kind of from these air traffic agencies. So you might be flying out of a small airfield and you'll hear us call up that airfield. And what that is one of us within that formation. And say, for instance, if we're going from here to Bournemouth, you know, we'll be speaking, probably getting a traffic service from, say, Wittering, then to Bryce Norton, and then trying to basically overlap with radar services all the way, so that we can gain SA on traffic out there. So we can mitigate and reduce the risk of, you know, any kind of you know, conflictions between us and other air users. And then what we'll also do is the kind of people who aren't speaking to, say, the traffic service agencies, they'll be going to the little airfields and saying, do you have any traffic to affect? And what you'll often have is the nav, so the nominated person who's doing the radios. So Red 1 won't be necessarily speaking to the air traffic agencies. It could be, say, myself or Red 8 speaking to the air traffic agencies. And Red 7, for instance, he might be speaking to, you know, a small airfield near Bryce. So that small airfield has just said, yeah, we've had an aircraft, you know, PA-28 has just launched and it's going northeast. And then Bryce Norton potentially call us traffic. And with that kind of SA that you get from those two sources, you can kind of marry that traffic information up and pass that to Red 1. And basically, we've got, you know, 9 people to look for that conflict. And if we need to, then take avoidant action. But yeah, there's quite a lot of stuff going on. But like you say, we learn to fly and get given radios. It's exactly the same for us. We're all frontline fighter pilots. And then when we join the team, we don't do the radios very often until we get to the display season. And then all of a sudden you get told you can do the radios today. And then you kind of heads on fire trying to kind of how do I fly formation and do the radios again. I've not done this for like 6 months. Like, and I used to do it in kind of cloud behind a tanker at night and stuff. But yeah, it's like with everything, it's you know, there's days where things are hard and things are easy.
And on those transit, on the transits around the UK, you say you've got ADSB. You have the ability to see us if we're transmitting ADSB out.
Yeah, so if you got, it was brilliant on our recent tour. We were in up to the Middle East before Christmas, and we were kind of recovering into Bahrain International, and it was really busy traffic. And having the ADSB in and 4Flight on, and it gave you so much SA as to where you potentially were going to fit in within their radar pattern. So same in the UK, we can pick stuff up on the device and again marry that up to information from air traffic to say, yeah, that's a potential conflict with us, you know, and we can take, you know, a small turn away from that traffic in order to maintain separation for that other air user and ourselves.
A slightly contentious suggestion. and I'm sure there's a good reason for this, but wouldn't it be easier to transit ever at like flight level 100 instead of at 2,500 feet?
No, because one of the problems is getting the formation up and down. So if you've got, say, for instance, if the weather's, say, overcast at 2,000 feet, then transiting around below that cloud, again, makes it easier because we can keep the formation as one. So normally potentially transit with potentially 10 aircraft or 11 aircraft in 2 sections. And so it means that we don't have to kind of go through that cloud and get back down. If we're going somewhere further afield, then we'll go up to kind of 27,000 feet and then transit across somewhere. So it's like our international transits will do that. But one of the big things as well is that we like to transit around our level is because, it's kind of showing the kind of public that we're out and about. And we like to be able to, put some smoke on if we see kind of look in the distance, maybe like a marquee, it looks like a wedding or whatever it might be. We'll try and get some smoke on to kind of show the public that we're there again. And that was one of the things I think they did in 2021 with, or 2020 sorry, with COVID was, kind of a fly around the UK over the big cities just to kind of give a bit of morale to the public.
Because I think I'm right in saying that people can, while you're going en route, people can actually put requests in ahead of time. And if you're going overhead, they can actually request a fly pass, can't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So if we're going, down south against Bournemouth, wherever it might be, and you kind of see the NOTAM, if you've got kind of something going on, people often do request, there might be a school fete or something like that. And we'll always try and accommodate, if we're transiting near that place, Red One will be given the information. He'll always try and, go over that point. Clearly, operationally, sometimes we might not be able to because it could be too tight a route for fuel. But if we've got the capacity to do it, then, yeah, we'll always try and, go over the top and put some smoke on if people request it.
Fantastic. There's a question in the comments. Someone says, which formations are back for 2023? I'd love to see the Diamond Quarter Clover back.
It's still getting finalised at the moment, but we kind of got some of the fan favourites we're back. So we'll have Tornado again in the first half. We'll probably have Crowd Rear Arrival still with a loop from Arrival, and then into close formation at that point there. But yeah, whatever kind of shapes we do, everyone's got their own favourites. For me, the Diamond is one of the good ones. It was kind of it's like our trademark, really. So there'll be definitely some big shapes for the people to see. But I know there's talk of Quarter Clover in some way, potentially in the second half, but I can't really say more than that.
Sarah, did you have more?
Yeah, I did actually. Well, what we touched on earlier, King's Coronation. What can you tell us about that?
We don't have much in terms of kind of the details, but yeah, but obviously it'll be similar to what we've seen probably for the Queen's Jubilee. I know there was some plans announced the other day for the fly past. So we're actually away in our training when it happens, but we will be back for the Jubilee. For the coronation, sorry, and then probably go back out to finish off our training in Greece after that. But yeah, there'll be, I'm sure, some red, white, and blue over London for the fly past, and along with some other RAF aircraft and Navy and Army aircraft as well.
Fab. And in terms of, you've done so many fly pasts. The one that you did recently over the pyramids in Egypt, that looked incredible. What's been your favourite?
The pyramids was it was really cool because you can see them out of the corner of your eye. The big thing is that on all these fly pasts, really, the best views, in terms of who gets the best views, probably Red One. Obviously, he's concentrating on making sure that the formation's in the right bit of sky, but he can obviously look out. And then whoever's doing the photo chase. So the photo chase for that one was done by our new Red 4. And so he got a great view of kind of looking down on the formation and seeing the jets over the pyramids. Whereas me, I was just making sure I was staring at Red 1, making sure I wasn't out of position, because if I was, then there was some stick afterwards. But obviously the Queen's Jubilee back in June was a really good one to take part in. Again, you kind of get glimpses out of the corner of your eye of London. But in Dubai, when we left Abu Dhabi, actually, back in November, we did a fly past with the A380 over Dubai and around the Burj, and that was pretty cool. Just kind of being alongside the A380, such a big aircraft. And we're used to flying alongside big aircraft from frontline when we on tankers and like, but yeah, the A380 is just massive, and so that was cool. And seeing the birds kind of going on.
Yeah, no, that does sound pretty good. And I'm just going to slightly lower the tone here, but when you're in formation and you need to sneeze, what do you do?
You just the big thing is we always try and just keep everything in the same, because so again it's all back to that cadence. So Red One is doing the same thing every time. So ultimately there's been times where we're coming out of a loop and we're in a twist and whatever it might be, and you've got to sneeze or you've got to quickly clear your ears because they're blocked, or whatever it might be, and so kind of what the show is, and that's why we practice so much. So you can almost take your hand off the throttle because you set your power, quickly drop your mask, sneeze or clear your ears quickly, and then quickly put it back on and put your hand back onto the throttle, really. So it's kind of if you obviously kind of blink in when you're sneezing, it's just make sure you don't put a massive reaction in, just hold in the stick and try to be as smooth as you can for everyone else in the formation.
Yeah, the question sneezes, they all snooze.
Yeah, that was probably the way to do it. Yeah,
that is amazing.
Cool.
Lovely.
Okay, we got time for a few quick questions. If anyone's got any in there,
I'm going to whiz through here. JDS World of Aviation World says, my brother has asked me to have Red 5 wish him happy 18th birthday. It would be amazing to surprise him on his birthday.
So is it, you've got his name on, or like no?
Just say happy birthday.
Happy 18th birthday.
Fantastic. Annabelle C says, will there be any female pilots in the team this year?
I've not actually seen the applicant list for this year, but obviously the team's open to everyone from the RAF who meets the criteria. So if people meet the criteria and apply, then clearly they'll be offered the chance at applying for the team. But yeah, until I've seen the list, until the application's closed, which they haven't yet, I can't say whether or not any have applied.
Apparently his name is Kyle. Sorry, I forgot.
Sorry. Happy 18th birthday, Kyle.
Cool. Matrix says the jet that got the bird strike last year, will that be flying again?
Yeah, it actually will, hopefully soon. We've just actually received it back to Waddington. So the engineers have done already an amazing job of getting it kind of at least onto the back of a truck, and some work done at Harden on it to bring it back to Waddington. So it's back in the hangar at Waddington with some more work. So yeah, it should fly again hopefully this year. So I mean, the damage was pretty catastrophic on it. So yeah, Gregor did a really good job to get that back when it happened.
And last one, Tom Pycroft says, any updates on newer jets in the future years?
I've not been told specifically, but I think there are studies going on at the moment to look at jets to replace the Hawk in the future. So yeah, hopefully we'll know something soon.
Brilliant.
Fantastic.
Well, thank you very much for that. It's been an absolute pleasure listening to you. Have a great season. Have a successful season. Hopefully we'll see you somewhere. And you'll be number 5 all year, so we'll be able to look up and go, hey, that's that Patrick cat, that is.
Yeah.
We'll see you.
We'll be watching, so keep it tight.
Yeah, we'll do. I won't sneeze.
Right.
Great. Thank you very much. We're going to head to Fantasy Hangar.
Thank you.
Couple of comments there. Darren Lewis says, great stuff there from Mark Lytham as well. And it's fascinating, isn't it? And we all struggle with learning to fly, but you go doing the whole Red Arrows display team and having to do other stuff. It's like, what do you mean I have to listen out for traffic?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Right, we are almost inevitably running a little bit late.
Great interview, though. Very quickly, so Fancy Hangar. We've returned to a Fancy Hangar format of old, where we picked a theme that's not connected to anything in the news. This week, we decided to pick our favourite type from Piper Aircraft. They've had 160 certified types, since they started 96 years ago. There's plenty to choose from. So who is first?
It is Monsieur Calderwood first.
Right.
Dave.
Yes, I've gone for a Piper Comanche 400. It's what you might call the American muscle plane, born in the era of big V8 powered cars, only produced for 2 years between, 3 years, 64 to 66. It's fitted with a 400 horsepower IO 720 engine, 8-cylinder monster, 720 cubic inches, or that's almost 12 litres. It's got a maximum level speed of 195 knots. Probably doesn't sound that much these days, but back in 64 it was. And there's a company called Knots to You, to make some speed mods that very simple things, bit of streamlining here and there, adds another 3 to 4 knots, might get to 200 knots.
And probably fuel burn of probably 200 litres an hour.
20 gallons an hour, apparently.
How many?
20 gallons an hour, US gallons an hour.
20 US gallons an hour. Yeah, that's probably 70, 80 litres, isn't it? Something like that. But it's a big old 8-cylinder Lycoming, isn't it?
Monster motor. Yeah.
Monster.
Nice choice, though, Dave.
Yeah, no, good choice. And a very nicely polished example, too.
Mm.
So, Sarah, I'm going to you next.
Yep, go for it. So I've gone for speed and luxury. I've gone for the Piper M350. So relatively new aircraft, came to the market in 2015, and it's got a 350 horsepower Lycoming engine, capable of 213 knots max cruise, range of 1,343 nautical miles. So I'm going to be touring Europe in this if anyone wants to come. It has an unusual feature, actually. It's got an automated system for detecting if the pilot's unresponsive due to hypoxia at high altitudes, and it actually safely guides the aircraft to flight at a lower altitude.
That'll be a Garmin element thing, won't it?
Garmin piece of magic kit, yes.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to leave you to last, Ed.
Oh no.
Yeah, I'm going to leave you to last. I'm going to jump in here. I'm going to take one for the team, because this is kind of like a predictable thing, but you got to mention it. And when you're talking about your favorite Piper, you have to mention J3 Cub, don't you? I mean, the J3 Cub is the iconic Piper. It's contrary to popular belief, I actually love the J3 Cub. It's some of the other Cubs that I hate. The J3 Cub is just a stunning, lovely little airplane. Did a bit of flying in one on floats and stuff at the old Jack Brown seaplane base, which is just beautiful, and it has to be that color. Clearly, I think there was something like just under 20,000 Cubs built.
Yeah,
it's like, it's predictable. I get that. That was picture taken from the 75th anniversary at Oshkosh, when the whole place was just littered with J3 Cubs, more J3 Cubs than there were giant popcorn buckets or something.
Cubs are fantastic. The aeroplane that taught America to fly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think every fantasy hangar needs an absolutely pristine J3 Cub in it. Really, doesn't need any other kind of Cub. Well, maybe your Clipwing, oh dear. But
yeah, I've picked Cub and Clipwing Cub in the past, so I didn't go for Cub, but I still think your choice is great. And I went for this, the 1940. So this was 1944, and this was the Piper Sky Cycle. Yes, you probably didn't know about it, but it's dinky. It's a little single-seater, and I love single seats. And basically, Piper went, we'll produce an economic aeroplane for the post-war market. It was created, apparently, all around. It used the part of a drop tank combined with a tubular boom and some other bits. And I had a little Continental A40 of 37 horsepower. Sadly, they decided it wasn't going to work out for them. They only made 2. I think it's cute, and it just lives in the kind of the Cub history. It appears in diagrams and little pictures in history books. There was a company called Carlson that did actually want to build it as a modern day kind of home built. But they never managed to get that kitted, which is a shame. And the photo is of the modern Carlson one, because no original Sky Cycle exists. But I would definitely go for it because it's cute. But Annabelle says, Ed, are you okay?
That's not cute, Ed. That looks like a carbuncle.
It's not a carbuncle. It's so small and lovely that people would go. They would definitely say Ian wins.
No, they wouldn't. They would go, who stuck a telegraph pole up that bloke's backside?
Nipbreed is mean. When I was a nipper, I made a plane out of lolly sticks that looked a lot like that.
Yeah,
like if you flew an aeroplane, that's what it would look like.
Yes.
Yeah. I have to say, I nearly went for the Aerostar, but
it's like the Flintstones plane. It's there's actually some cool stuff. If you look around, as we have done in Piper's history, there was even something called the Glom, which was a gliding bomb.
I think it was an optionally piloted bomb, wasn't it?
I didn't get that far looking into it, but there's been some. Piper has done some amazing stuff over the years. They were even into composite aeroplanes with an aeroplane called the Papoose, before Cirrus was even a Clapmeyer brother. So
excellent. Well, what's the result then, Ed?
I think it's fair to say that Ian wins. And the irony of Ian winning with, because a lot of people would say that you're not a big Cub fan, but
no, I love the J3. The J3 is like the perfect Cub. It's a bit like a creme brulee. You should just make a standard creme brulee. Then you mess with the creme brulee and you muck it up. The Cub J3 is perfect. Mess with the J3 by doing other things, you mess it up. It's just a classic that just has to remain a classic. It's like all of the other things are like in Branston pickle in cheese and stuff.
There's a Dave wins. There's an Ed no. Dave wins. There's a lot of Ian wins. Oh, Jane, thank you. Ed wins. Nick Allen, obviously referring to my Sky Cycle, says Noddy goes flying.
He goes flying. I think so. Right.
Nice to you.
Time marches on. We're 6 minutes over. Dave is going to come in with some amazing events that are coming up really soon.
Right. Well, there's not much coming up. It's February coming just around the corner. 4th and 5th of February, Shuttleworth Engineering Open Workshop. 8th of February, there's an Art of Radio Telephony workshop with Astral. 16th of February, the Gasco Safety Evening restart. And this one's at Rochester. That's about it, really.
So if you remember, don't forget, next month we got Darren Lewington's RT seminar, which is going to be absolutely brilliant. So make sure you only get to see that if you remember, which would be great. If you're watching this on catch up, please do us a big favor and stick some comments underneath. YouTube love that. And take a guess at how much money YouTube paid us for last week's live stream. I'll tell you, it's not very much, but take a guess anyway. And please like, comment, subscribe, and above all, join the club. £5 a month. Not bad value for everything you get. So that's it for me. Thank you very much. We'll see you next Wednesday for a live stream extra and next Thursday for the live stream. And that's about it, I think.
Yeah.
We will see you sometime soon. Have a great flying weekend.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Cheers.